Hey fish friends, how's it going? Zenzo with Tazawa Tanks, back with another video. So today is going to be a quick video talking about a subject that comes up quite often, especially at this time of year, and that is, how do you take care of your fish when you are out on vacation? So by the time you're watching this video, I'm probably on an airplane flying back to California from Hawaii. I'm taking a quick little short vacation to Hawaii to visit my family for a few days. I do have a second vacation planned later on this summer with the family, and that'll be a little bit longer of a vacation. But anyway, what I want to talk about briefly is what I am doing to prepare my 34, 35 fish tanks while I'm away. One of the things that comes up quite often is, how do you feed your fish when you're gone? Well, there are two ways. Well, there's actually more than two ways. So one way would be to ask somebody to do it. You could ask a family member, you could ask a friend and give them detailed instructions on how to feed your fish. The best way to do that would be to portion out the amount of food that they should be feeding each day or each time, putting it in a little baggie or in one of those little pill containers. The other way is using an automatic feeder. So here's an example of an automatic feeder. I've got a whole bunch of these. I've got some of the EHIM ones as well, which I think are a little bit better. They are more costly, and I've made a video about that before. And then the last part, and the last way is you just don't feed them. And people say, well, aren't the fish going to starve if you don't feed them? No, the fish will be fine if they are left alone without being fed for a few days. It's not going to hurt the fish. In some cases, it might even be beneficial for the fish to help them lose a little of their fat. But so with my tanks, some of them I'm going to have set up on feeders. Some of them I'm not going to feed at all. So how do I know which ones I need to feed and which ones I don't need to feed? With my personal opinion, I think that you need to feed your fry. So those are your baby fish. Those need to be fed every day. So I have currently 4 tanks with fry. So I'm not talking about juveniles that are 6 or 7 months old. They're fine. They don't need to eat as often. But the fry that are a week or 2 old, 3 or 4 weeks old, they need to eat more often because they're growing. They don't have as much body mass to maintain their energy and their metabolism as the days go by, so they need to eat more often. So I will make sure that I set up my fry tanks with the automatic feeders. All the other tanks down here will not be fed. Now, some of the Mbuna tanks, I can put some duckweed in there so they can kind of nibble on that. The peacock tanks and other tanks I'm going to leave alone. Oscar will be fine. The other fish in here will be fine. They don't need to eat for a few days. It's only a few days that they're not going to be fed. And the other tanks that I will set up on automatic feeders are going to be my 2 African cichlid display tanks upstairs. The reason being is that's going to help curb the aggression. So I don't want a bunch of aggression and fish loss while I'm gone. So they will be set up on automatic feeders, as will my Tanganyikan tank upstairs, because I do have fry in that tank. So that tank does have fry, so I will feed that tank on a feeder. And then the display tanks with all the big males, they will be fed so that it keeps the aggression down. The other thing that I like to do before I leave is I like to make sure that all the water has been changed. Not all the water, but all the tanks have had water changes. And I don't want to do it the day before I leave. I like to do it a couple days before I leave. That way I can just test and make sure that no problems have arisen. I don't want to do a big water change the day before I leave or the day that I leave and then find out that I have a big issue and then, have some type of problem. So a couple of days in advance, I'll do water changes, my normal large volume water changes, and just make sure that everything's clear and clean and set up the way it should be. Now, one of the things that I would caution you on is not to make any drastic changes to your tank while you're gone. So for example, when I did water changes, I didn't clean out my canister filter, I didn't clean my sumps. I left that all alone and just did the normal, the filter floss and the water change, and not doing anything large that could upset the balance of the tank, because I'm not going to be home to catch it and monitor it should something happen. Lastly, the other thing that I like to do sometimes is to lower the temperature a little bit. So if you're using a heater, you can very easily do that by just lowering the temperature on the heater by, maybe 2 degrees. So maybe your tank is normally set at, let's say, 79 degrees. You can lower it to like 77, It's not going to harm the fish. The fish will be fine. It won't harm plants if you have plants in the tank. But what it will do is it will slightly reduce the metabolism of the fish, and they won't be as active in a little bit cooler water. So again, that's going to help in them not eating while you're gone. It also will curb any kind of aggression should you have any. That will also dissipate. As far as down here in the fish room, what I will do, because I heat the room with my dehumidifier, and I turned it off to film because of the sound. Normally it's 80 degrees in here. What I can do is I can adjust the humidity level so that it doesn't kick on all the time, and then I can lower the temperature in here by a couple of degrees as well. So anyway, those are just some of the tips that let you know how I take care of fish when I'm gone for a few days. And I'll make sure that I put a link of that other video that I made up here or down in the description somewhere on the auto feeders and that kind of thing. That's all I had for now. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.